Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Public Service Commission of South Carolina. We're here today for our weekly business meeting. Please join me in a brief moment of silence before we begin. Thank you. We're going to take roll. All commissioners are present here in the hearing room, and we're happy to have everyone here. Attorney Butler, if you please would read the agenda.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, other members of the commission. Good morning. The first order of business would be to set the next commission business meeting. The staff would recommend that the commission set Wednesday, October 13th at 11 a.m. as the next meeting.
Wednesday, October 13th will be the next commission business meeting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Going on to the utilities agenda, item number 1 is in docket number 2005-214C. Before the commission today is a request for approval of the 6th Amendment to an interconnection agreement between West Telecom Services, LLC and AT&T of South Carolina.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move that the commission approve the 6th Amendment to the interconnection agreement between Intrado Communications, LLC, formerly known as West Telecom Services, LLC, and Bell South Telecommunications, LLC, doing business as AT&T South Carolina. I would so move.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, starting with District 1, Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Vice Chair Belzer.
Aye.
Commissioner Caston.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Powers.
Aye.
Commissioner Irvin.
Aye.
And Chairman Williams votes aye. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 2 is in docket number 1996-358C. Before the commission today is a request for approval of the 3rd Amendment to the interconnection agreement between Bell South Telecommunications, LLC, DBA AT&T South Carolina, AT&T Corporation, and Teleport Communications America, LLC.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers.
Thank you. I would move the commission approve the 3rd Amendment to the interconnection agreement between Bell South Telecommunications, doing business as AT&T South Carolina, AT&T Corporation, and Teleport Communications America, LLC. So move.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 3 is docket number 2021-288C. We have, for the commission's consideration, a notice of purchase of 100% of the stock of Chesney Telephone Company Incorporated, DBA Chesney Communications, filed by Comporium Incorporated.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Thomas.
Thank you, sir. I move that the commission accept as information the notice of purchase of 100% of stock of Chesney Telephone Company Incorporated, doing business as Chesney Communications, filed by Comporium Incorporated. I so move.
Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 4 is docket number 2021-295G. Staff is presenting today for the commission's consideration the request for approval of the agreement for transportation service with firm gas standby between Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated and Arkland Surfaces, LLC.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers.
Thank you. I would move the commission approve the agreement for transportation service with firm gas standby between Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated and Arkland Surfaces, LLC. The contract is in compliance with the standards set out in Commission Regulation 103-403, subsection D.
All right, hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 5 is docket number 2021-286G. Staff is presenting for commission consideration the request for approval of an agreement for transportation service with firm gas standby between Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated and HGMB LLC.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Powers.
I would move the commission approve the agreement for transportation service with firm gas standby between Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated and HGMB LLC. This contract, too, is in compliance with the standards set out in Commission Regulation 103-403, Section D. So moved.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we will vote. All in favor? Vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries.
Item number 6 on the utilities agenda is in docket number 2006-401G. This is the request for approval by Piedmont Natural Gas Company Incorporated of its GCRM 153.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Thomas, you have the floor, sir.
thank you. I move that the commission approve Piedmont Natural Gas Company's GCRM-153, effective with the first billing cycle in October 2021 and thereafter until further notice. Piedmont's benchmark cost of gas that Piedmont must pay has increased again and is currently at levels above $3 per decatherm commodity cost of gas reflected in Piedmont's current rates. Based on the differential between Piedmont's existing benchmark cost of gas and the future's wholesale price, as well as the current balance in its deferred gas cost account, Piedmont is at risk of undercollecting its wholesale gas cost if the benchmark cost of gas reflected in its rates is not increased to $4.50 per decatherm. This change results in an increase of 0.15266 cents per therm for sales rate schedules 201, 202, 242, 252, 203, and 204, and an increase of 0.00266 cents per therm for transportation rate schedules 213 and 214. It is noted that the Office of Regulatory Staff recommends approval of this change. I so move.
Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call a vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to item number 7, staff would recommend that this matter be carried over. The matters therein appear to have been resolved.
Item 7 is carried over.
Thank you, sir. Item number 8 is in docket number 2021-6-G. This is the Natural Gas Rate Stabilization Act case for Dominion Energy South Carolina Incorporated for this year.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chair Belzer.
thank you. Pursuant to the provisions of the Natural Gas Rate Stabilization Act, also known as the RSA, codified at South Carolina Code Annotated Section 58-5-400 at SEC, Dominion Energy South Carolina filed its quarterly monitoring report for the 12 months ending March 31, 2021. DESC proposed adjustments to provide the opportunity to earn the midpoint of the range of rate of return on common equity established by Order Number 2005-619. In the March 31, 2020 monitoring report, DESC reported an adjusted rate of return of 7.41% and a return on common equity of 8.70%, and requested an increase in revenue requirement of $8,733,989. ORS examined the operating experience reported by Dominion, or DESC, for the review period with the associated revenue requirement calculations. ORS made accounting and pro forma adjustments, reducing net income for return by $2,441,963 and decreasing rate base by $2,493,277. After these adjustments, ORS's review determined the retail revenue increase in compliance with the provisions of the RSA of $6,992,923, which is a reduction of DESC's request by $1,781,066, or 20.30%. By letter dated September 15th, 2021, DESC stated that it did not challenge ORS's adjustments in this proceedings. I move the Commission adopt and approve ORS's adjustments to DESC's proposed increase in revenue as contained in ORS's report. DESC has filed schedules containing the rates and charges resulting from these adjustments, and I move adoption of these schedules. A full order will be issued no later than October 15, 2021. Mr. Chairman, that's my motion.
Hearing Vice Chair Belzer's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries.
Item number 9 is under docket number 2021-7-G, and this is the Natural Gas Rate Stabilization Act for Piedmont Natural Gas Company Incorporated for this year.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Irvin.
pursuant to the Commission's obligations under the Natural Gas Rate Stabilization Act, I move the Commission adopt the settlement agreement of the parties as being in the public interest. I also move that the Commission approve Piedmont's quarterly monitoring report for the 12-month period ending March 31, 2021, as adjusted by the settlement agreement. Piedmont will implement rates for the 12-month period beginning with the first billing cycle of November 2021, calculated on the basis of the 9.8% return on equity instead of the 12.6% return on equity approved by the prior Commission orders. With ORS's adjustments and the return on equity of 9.8%, the parties have agreed to an increase in margin rates totaling $7,441,562. This results in a decrease in the company's request by $8,328,408 for South Carolina ratepayers when compared to rates calculated at the authorized ROE of 12.6%. Additionally, the parties have agreed to an increase in revenue of $3,323,422 due to a demand cost under recovery. I further move that the Commission adoption of the schedules filed by the company containing the rates and charges resulting from the settlement agreement be adopted in a full order, which will be issued no later than October 15, 2021. So moved.
Hearing Commissioner Irvin's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, the motion carries.
Item number 10 on the utilities agenda is under docket number 2021-3-E. This is the annual review of the base rates for fuel cost of Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC. This is ready for final disposition.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Irvin.
Thank you, sir. I move the Commission find that the fuel purchasing practices and policies, plant operations, fuel inventory management, and all other matters associated with the South Carolina Code Section 58-27-865 conducted by Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC, during the review period were reasonable and prudent. After review of the audit and the verification of expenses and account balances performed by the Office of Regulatory Staff, I move the Commission accept and approve the rates and charges proposed by DEC in this proceeding. The base fuel component shall be 1.8123 cents per kilowatt hour for all customer classes. The total fuel factors shall be as follows: 1.9607 cents per kilowatt hour for residential customers, 1.96 0.9255 cents per kilowatt hour for general service and lighting customers, 1.8881 cents per kilowatt hour for industrial customers. The resulting change would be an increase of approximately $3.53 per month for a residential customer using 1,000 kilowatt hours per month, or approximately 3%. I move the commission generally adopt the recommendations of the Office of Regulatory Staff regarding the company's annual fuel filings as presented by ORS witness Sandonato. I further move the commission require Duke Energy Carolinas LLC to base its testimony in future fuel dockets on a fuel forecast prepared within 30 days of the pre-filing deadline for testimony as recommended by the South Carolina Energy Users Committee. If DEC cannot base its forecast on such information, then DEC must advise and explain to the commission why, as part of its testimony, the best available forecasting data then should be used. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Hearing Commissioner Irvin's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed, vote nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that does complete the utilities agenda for today. Moving on to the Commission's motor carrier agenda. Staff would recommend that item numbers 1 through 9 be taken together, and I'll outline these briefly. These are all applications for Class C authority. Item 1 is docket number 2021-302T, application of Alicia J. Thomas, DBA Divine Transportation for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item 2 is docket number 2021-303T, application of Project Hope Foundation, Inc. for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item 3 is docket number 2021-306T. This is the application of Alon J. Transportation, LLC for a Class C stretcher van certificate. Item 4 is the application of Palmetto Transport Systems, LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item 5 is the application of New Hope Transport Services, LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item 6 is the application of a Nurse Next Door Senior Care Services, LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. Item 7 is the application of Cola Cruise, LLC for a Class C charter certificate. That's in docket number 2021-311T. Number 8 is docket number 2021-312T. This is the application of Medical Transportation South Carolina, LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate. And finally, item number 9 is under docket 2021-313T. This is the application of Comfort Rides Medical Transport, LLC for a Class C non-emergency certificate.
Is there a motion?
Chairman Williams,
Commissioner Caston.
I move that the commission approve the application for Class C authority and items numbers 1 through 9 as listed by Mr. Butler.
Hearing Commissioner Caston's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed, vote nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 10 on the motor carriers agenda is a request of Eddie Isham, DBA Allen J. Transportation, to amend his Class C non-emergency certificate number 7872 to read Allen J. Transportation, LLC, and also to amend the scope of his authority to read as statewide.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Thomas.
thank you. I move that the commission grant the request of Eddie Isham, doing business as Allen J. Transportation, to amend Class C non-emergency certificate number 7872 to read Allen J. Transportation, LLC, and amend the scope of the authority to read as statewide. So moved.
Hearing Commissioner Thomas's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will now vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed, vote nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 11 is in docket number 2021-299T. We have a request by Need It Moved LLC for approval of use of an electronic bill of lading.
Is there a motion?
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Caston,
I move that the commission grant the request of Need It Moved LLC for approval of use of an electronic bill of lading.
hearing Commissioner Caston's motion, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed, vote nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries.
Item number 12 on the motor carrier agenda is in docket number 2021-211-T. This is the application of Elite Movers LLC to amend its tariff.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Having received additional information we requested, I move the commission approve the amendments proposed by Elite Movers LLC to its tariff. It is noted that the letter dated September 24, 2021 from the Office of Regulatory Staff stated that ORS intends to discontinue the use or reference to the South Carolina Tariff Bureau rates as part of the ORS impact study concerning certification of Class C household goods movers. I move the commission direct the clerk to open a generic docket to study and review the proposal by ORS and the information necessary in audit reports or impact statements concerning such Class C licensees.
Hearing Commissioner Powers' motion, is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Powers.
I'd just like to add there's been a lot of work put into this particular case and concern. I think there's some worry about the sophistication of customers who may Google the best or the closest mover, but not review prices. Maybe in this docket, when it's open, there may be some interest by the consumer advocate or other parties that want to get involved or become stakeholders in the matter, and would encourage the same.
All right. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Urban.
Thank you, sir. While I commend Commissioner Powers' motion to open a docket to further review the ORS impact study and the fact that ORS intends to discontinue the use or reference of the South Carolina Tariff Bureau rates, my concern is that we really don't have anything in our record in this docket that would support approving Elite Movers LLC's amendment to increase its tariffs. The burden is on the applicant, and so I would ask if Commissioner Powers would consider a friendly amendment to include that a hearing be set so that Elite Movers LLC will have an opportunity to present testimony and evidence in support of its request for an increase in the tariffs.
I would be happy to accept that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if we accept that amendment, that obviates the portion of the motion to approve the tariff revisions.
Yes, it does. I'm not sure if that, I don't think that's a friendly amendment, Commissioner Powers.
Well, let me just cite it this way. I think, you know, that if we're not going to consider the South Carolina Tariff Bureau rates anymore, ORS needs to tell us why. And we also need to establish a procedure when an applicant comes in for a rate increase, they have the burden of proving that it's just and reasonable under the applicable statutory provision that gives us the authority to set tariffs. And in this case, we don't have any testimony to evidence to support an increase. And so I would like to set it for a hearing in fairness to the applicant to give them a chance to come in and present testimony and evidence that would justify an increase in the tariff. So that would be my substitute motion, Mr. Chairman, which includes the final provision that we open a generic docket to discuss the matter further with the Office of Repertory staff as to why they've chosen to change the longstanding procedure that we've used in considering South Carolina Tariff Bureau rates as part of Class E household good movers tariff rates. So that would be my alternative motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Powers.
I think I misunderstood Commissioner Irvin's earlier amendment. I kind of thought he was saying that movers could be involved in this generic docket, including this mover, which of course they.
Well, they could intervene, of course, and so we could handle it either way. If there's some pressing need for them to have a hearing prior to, other interveners coming into a generic docket, we could just set it for a short hearing. In fact, if they would just simply give us some justification for why they want an increase. But right now, the record is devoid of any evidence, and so I don't feel comfortable approving it without further testimony and evidence justifying their increase request. That's my concern. So
Thank you. I would just take the position, then I go back to my original motion, so we have two motions on the floor.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Chairman Williams. I just wanted to add that the reason that I'll be supporting Commissioner Powers' motion has to do with two letters that we received. One is from ORS on August the 9th, where they found Elite Movers in compliance in a number of categories, and they did the analysis with regard to the ORS tariff comparison, but they're recommending that we support this increase. And then in response to our previous directive, the applicant identifies elements like gasoline prices rising by 41.8%, diesel prices by 38.4%, a number of other prices in the 1 to 5%. Those two factors alone have me supporting Commissioner Powers' motion.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask Commissioner Williams a question?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Irvin, you have the floor.
Thank you. I have the letter from Office of Regulatory Staff that you referred to, dated August the 9th, 2021. I don't, the numbers that you cited about increasing cost, is that a part of the record?
Yes, Commissioner Irvin,
It was presented at the hearing?
This was in response to our directive from last week, was filed on September 24.
All right. Was it filed by the petitioner?
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
All right. I was not aware that that had been filed, so, Mr. Chairman, I'll withdraw my motion since there is testimony, since there's evidence in the record that supports their request. I'll withdraw my motion.
All right, Commissioner Irvin's substitute motion has been withdrawn. The only motion on the floor at this time is Commissioner Powers' motion. Commissioner Caston?
Well, it seems like we resolved it well enough, but since I've waded into it, I too support Commissioner Powers' motion and relative to the generic docket. I do think that there is existing information relative to currently approved tariffs for all the haulers in the state. And whether ORS has that in the spreadsheet or however, I think there is information available that can be used in a generic docket to at least put some context from a statewide perspective and regional perspective. So again, I'm ready to vote.
Mr. Chairman,
Vice Chair Belzer.
thank you. I'm in support of Commissioner Powers' motion as well. However, I also appreciate the concerns expressed by Commissioner Irvin. I think that perhaps over a period of time, or maybe just in general, perhaps we just need to look at processes and procedures every so often and see how we're doing some things. And I think that I'm definitely in support of a docket, however it comes up, so that we can hear from parties, hear from ORS, hear from the stakeholders on what, and make a determination on and provide further guidance on what an applicant should show to request a rate increase. And that's what I think Commissioner Irvin was getting at there. And I appreciate his comments on that. And I think that it would behoove all of us in this area to let's take a step back and give a look at what processes need to be instituted. And that's what I'm going to look for from the generic docket on how to proceed with these kind of rate cases. And appreciate the comments of my fellow commissioners in this matter.
Thank you, Commissioner Belser. I appreciate that. And here's the thing we have to be mindful of that the consumer is not always sophisticated enough to research tariff rates on their own. And so I believe that's why the General Assembly gave us this charge by statute to find that they're just and reasonable. And so there does need to be a hard look at how these increases are justified. Otherwise, we're just going to open the floodgates and let every carrier come in and ask for increase without any real justification. I think that's a dangerous precedent, because if we did that, it would amount to deregulation. And the states that have deregulated have seen a lot of abuses. I think I may have called it to the attention of staff earlier that the state of Florida has had tremendous problems with unscrupulous home movers that are changing the price after the paperwork's been signed, holding the household goods that they were entrusted with until additional cash was paid. And even if the homeowners didn't come up with the cash or couldn't come up with the cash, they're actually auctioning off their household goods. So we don't want to open the door in South Carolina to those kind of abuses. So it's very important for us, if we're going to regulate household goods, that we require some showing from the movers justifying their increased rates. And that's, I hope, as Commissioner Belser says, that when we have the generic docket, we perhaps can come up with a simple form that doesn't require a lawyer, but may require a notary to notarize the document so that we know it's a valid submission from the applicant, which sets forth some justification for their increase. Otherwise, we run the risk of putting our citizens in the state of being the victims of abuse, like they're being victimized in the state of Florida now. The Attorney General's office has already sent out a directive about it. So that's my concern. I appreciate your motion, Mr. Commissioner Powers, and the generic docket, I think, should be open to other intervenors so that consumer interest groups can participate. And particularly, as you said, the Department of Consumer Affairs should hopefully be interested in taking part in that docket to protect the homeowners from being victims of abuse. Thank you.
All right. I just want to share a few observations with the body, or my colleagues, if you will. I think that Commissioner Irvin is right on target with the necessity to regulate movers of household goods. I mean, in fact, the statute requires us to do so. I will say in this particular case, considering the letter filed by the applicant in response to our request for additional information in the letter filed by the Office of Regulatory Staff, for me, made me feel comfortable to support Commissioner Powers' motion. And also appreciate Commissioner Powers for being willing to open up a generic docket, because I've said this time and time again, you cannot put new wine in old wineskins. And as Commissioner or Vice Chair Belzer said, there's some, we're new wine, especially the 4 new freshman commissioners. But even the 3, I guess, seniors here, we see things a little bit differently. And sometimes we come into situations like these where maybe in the past the commission had a practice for performing various tasks, and we now realize that practice needs to be improved. And so hopefully through the generic docket, we can remove any doubt and uncertainty about what's required from applicants when they're seeking applicants, movers of household good applicants, if you will, what's required when they're seeking a rate increase. I'll also note that movers of household goods are not identical to the utilities we regulate in that they don't have captive markets. So there is a opportunity for potential customers to have a choice, but as Commissioner Irvin identified, some customers are more sophisticated than others, and there could be opportunity for potential customers to be taken advantage of, and that's where we come in. So hopefully through this generic docket, we can hammer out a clear process for seeking rate increases for movers of household goods that allows them to obtain the necessary revenue to run their business, and also protects customers. So thank you for your comments, Commissioner Irvin, and Commissioner Powers, thank you for your motion. Any further discussion?
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, sir. I too support the generic docket and the understanding of having standards and having prescribed information that needs to be filed. What I have come to question, because this is going to be a question to fellow commissioners, is how, and to staff, how we are going to handle in the interim before we have the generic docket new applications. I felt strongly that Elite was in a special circumstance because they had filed, they had waited a week, responded, given us more information. I'm not sure how to appropriately ask this question, but it's not one that I've heard us put thought into, and it may be something we have to define on October 13th. But my question is, how do we handle any emerging, already in the pipeline tariff request that may come before we have a chance to delve into the generic docket?
You know, the short answer to that right now is I don't know. The statute allows for a review of the operation ratio. My understanding is that method has not been used here in a while, but it's available to us to use. I think that while we shouldn't compare one tariff to the other without more information than just that, I do think there is some value. How much, I don't know. I think there is some value in the South Carolina Tariff Bureau, which is why I think Commissioner Irvin wanted to know why the Office of Regulatory Staff is no longer going to reference that. But ultimately, I think it's up to us to review the application and make a determination whether or not the rates are just and reasonable based on what's in the application. And so really, just thinking through this with you off the top of my head, it's going to be up to the applicant to file a application that supports the rates are just and reasonable. As Commissioner Irvin said, the burden is on the applicant. Now, obviously, we don't want to be anti-business and create a process that's overly burdensome, but we also can't carry the applicant's water. Those are my thoughts.
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Caston.
I certainly am not suggesting that I know the answer to that question, although along the lines of what Chairman Williams said, we have requested information that they have provided, at least in this particular case. So I think something similar. Having said that also, as I mentioned previously, there is information, or there should be information of every household goods mover rates and tariffs right now. I don't know if it's in a box. I don't know how that's kept. But I would think, whether that's the Office of Regulatory Staff or who, that if that information is not in a database, it should be in a database. And I believe that information, if it were in a database, could be very quickly processed into what is the statewide min, the statewide max. What's the mean? And I believe that information, Chairman Williams, could also be produced regionally, whether that's congressional district or however. The information is there, at least that would provide this commission with what's there now. Not saying it's right or wrong, but the information's there, and we would have something to look at that is real and true. So as a suggestion, whomever has that information, which I'm assuming is the Office of Regulatory Staff, this information should be in a database, and we ought to see what it is. That's my thoughts for right now. Chairman Williams, thank you for allowing me to share them.
Yes, sir.
Chairman Williams.
Commissioner Powers.
That is a great thought, and of course, a proper database could be available to consumers, and even on the ORS site or our site at the time, there's some recommendation or some notice to how to check for prices and just make it public knowledge. But that's a good idea. Commissioner Caston.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Powers. I'm sorry, Commissioner Irvin.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Caston, that is precisely why historically the commission has given some deference to the South Carolina Tariff Bureau rates, because they do provide statewide guidance. And for whatever reason, ORS has chosen to discontinue the use of the South Carolina Tariff Bureau rates. So I think when we take up this matter and the new docket is to be open, we need to ask those questions of ORS, because you're right, there should be a database separate and apart from the South Carolina Tariff Bureau. In fact, there is a requirement under law that these movers file an annual report and list, among other things, their tariff rates. So the data's being collected apparently by ORS, and whether or not it's publicly available, I don't know the answer to that. That's another question we can ask them. But Commissioner Williams, in terms of your concern about new applications, I don't think it's so much a problem with new applicants as it is for applicants that are asking for an increase in tariffs. So it might not be as much of a concern in the interim as you think. We don't see that many applications for increasing tariffs, or at least we haven't during my tenure. But in any event, all these questions need to be addressed, and it might be just as simple as coming up with a form that these applicants can file with their application that justifies why an increase is warranted. And that way we have a factual basis for either granting it or denying it. But right now we don't have that. So hopefully our generic docket will give everyone an opportunity to be heard, and we'll have a chance to address it hopefully very soon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome, Commissioner Irvin. Are there any more comments? Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I call the question.
The question is, whether or not we're going to,
Call the question on Commissioner
oh,
Powers' motion.
vote. You want to, gotcha. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
All opposed, vote nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that does complete the motor carriers agenda and indeed all the agendas before the commission for business today.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.